Hi crafty friends, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I created a fun background using the Lovely Layers Butterflies dies. So I am going to die cut all of my butterflies from white mixed media cardstock because I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide Sprays, and so I need a thicker cardstock that's going to hold up to a lot of wet. So I'm going to show you putting together these butterflies. These are the Lovely Layers butterflies. I die cut most of them twice so I could fill up an A2 size background. And I'm not going to color them ahead of time because we're going to do all of the coloring with the Oxide Sprays. So I'm just going to put these little butterflies together and set them aside. I'm not going to show putting all of them together, just one of each style, because I did again die cut a few more to make sure I could fill up this background. So these are really super simple to put together. You have all different sizes of butterflies, different shapes, wing shapes, different directions that the butterflies are going. I just think they're so fun to put together. Super, super easy. If you wanted to color these or ink blend these, you could use markers, ink and blender brushes, colored pencils, watercolor markers. You could do all kinds of things, but I'm going to use Distress Oxide Sprays. The look I'm going for is that we are going to have this almost embossed look like you would with an embossing folder. Obviously it's going to look a little bit different, but you have this texture on the background of all of these butterflies, and it's just part of the background. Like the paper is raised in these areas of where the butterflies are. So we have this butterfly here that's facing sideways. These are really super simple to put together. I just need to get this bottom one in first, and then I can do that other top wing. And I do end up using some leftover pieces as well. I don't put the whole butterfly together. I just grab I think there was 3 pieces that I added to this background just to kind of fill in some of the areas where you really couldn't fit a whole butterfly. So I am going to do that as well. I'm trying to get an idea of all the other butterflies I need. So I'm laying this out on my background kind of as I'm going, even though I'm going to change it around just a little bit, but it does give me an idea of how many butterflies that I might need. So let's put this other butterfly together. It's going to be facing the other way. This is kind of a side profile butterfly like the one that we just put together, but this one is facing to the left. The other one was facing to the right. I'm just adding little dots of glue to glue our wings to the body. Really super simple and easy. Now I have die cut more of those and I have it laid out here, and I'm going to speed this up because I'm just gluing these down. I'm using liquid glue because I really want this to hold nicely in place, because again we're going to add a ton of liquid between the Distress Oxide Sprays and some water. So I'm going to be using the Distress Sprayer, but any kind of water bottle that you have that can give you a nice mist is perfect too for this. I will be using Kitsch Flamingo and Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide Sprays. So I'm going to have a fun teal, a pink, and then we'll get a little mixture and get a pretty purple on the background. And all the pieces that I'm laying off of the edge, I will trim those off once I get everything adhered down. And then like I mentioned, I'm going to take some little extra pieces from some of the butterflies that I did not put together and add those to 2 on the right side, 1 on the left. But I really want to make sure everything is nice and adhered down. This is a 3D image essentially. Well, maybe not 3D, but you know, it has dimension. And so some of the parts of the butterfly are not going to be adhered down. So maybe parts of the body, because it's raised so high, is not going to be adhered down. That is totally fine. Just the parts that are really going to be touching the background paper, you want adhered down nicely. So here are these little bits of wings that I'm going to put in place. And then I can trim that off, and then we can start with the Distress Sprayer or Distress Spraying. So I have some crafty cloths on top of like a craft mat, because there's going to be a lot of liquid, and you could use a paper towel or a cloth or something, but I have that so it can kind of catch some of the liquid when I lift up the paper. So I'm going to spritz the paper first with a little bit of water. Then I'm using the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide Spray and then some more water. I want to get that moving around. What's really cool about having this paper on this background, the butterflies, is once we're going to get this really wet and ink is going to move around and it's going to kind of pool and catch around the butterfly wings, which creates something that looks really, really pretty. Even though it's quite soft, some of the butterflies that have more pink also have some of that salvaged patina catching around the wings against the background paper. So using my heat tool to dry some of this, adding more color as I need to, adding more water as I need to. The water is moving that ink around. You don't necessarily, for this technique anyways, want it sitting around. I apologize for that noise. You want it to be able to move around. So I'm going to use my heat tool to dry that. Then I'm going to come back in, adding more color where I want it, adding more water to get that to move. So adding that salvaged patina, a little bit of the Kitsch Flamingo, and then the water, because I'm going to create a fun light purple color here in the center. And then I'm just using the paper itself and gravity to move it around and let some of that liquid just flow where I want it to. And then this is just personal choice, adding more color where you want it. I wanted a little more pink, or creating a purple over on this side over here. So I'm going to add the pink and a little bit of water and move that around and dry it as I go. And then just tapping off some of that excess liquid onto my little craft cloths here. So really super simple and easy, really creates a beautiful, impactful background. And what an easy way to color all of this all at one time. So let's add a little bit more of that pink up here at the top. Again, kind of just dumping off some of that excess. Look at how pretty that is. Now let's splatter with the Distress Sprays, Salvage Patina, and Kitsch Flamingo. And I do use my heat tool to dry in between the two splatterings. Look at how pretty that is. I love this. Okay, now I'm going to use some Distress Spritz in Fossilized Amber because it has this gold color and it's very shimmery. And I'm going to take a paintbrush and just kind of dabbing it onto the bodies. I want the bodies to have a lot of this color. And then we're going to get a little messy. This is a messy project. I probably should have said that at the beginning, but this is fairly messy. Then I'm going to use my fingers after I'm done painting on the bodies. I'm going to use my fingers with the Distress Spritz and lightly tap and rub this color onto the wings itself. And I was making a huge mess with my bottle because I decided to try to shake it when my lid wasn't on great, so it was everywhere. But after I'm done doing that, just again, dipping my finger in a little bit of it and rubbing it and dabbing it across the wings. I'm not trying to get full coverage, but I do want some of this shimmer all over the butterflies. And in the light, and I'll show you when I'm done, it is so pretty. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be over everything. It's just this little extra something that looks really pretty on the butterfly. So let me show you that here. Look at all the light catching the shimmer. I think it is so pretty. Okay, then we're gonna stamp, oh, no, I'm sorry. We're gonna do some splatter white. I'm just using, this is like a watercolor white that I'm splattering on the background. You can use anything that you have to give it some white splatter, but it was kind of nice because it kind of breaks up all of the color with this nice bright white splatter on the background. I'm not getting tons of it on the butterflies. I don't mind if a little bit's on there. Then I'm stamping the sentiment from All Things New, which is also a butterfly stamp. Has tons of butterfly images, but it has great sentiments. And so I'm stamping the Happy Birthday Wishes sentiment, and I'm going to use the coordinating sentiment die to die cut that out. And then I'm going to add 2mm foam adhesive behind that and place that right in the center. And this will be adhered to a white A2 size card base. But we are going to take a look at this up close in just a second here, so you can see how beautiful that background is. And look at that fun Fossilized Amber Distress Spritz. Gives us a nice kind of gold shimmery shine. I love how this turned out. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.